In the most recent update for Valheim, they added a new NPC to the game, Hilder, who's going to give you some quests to complete to unlock some new things in the game. They also added customization to world modifiers. In this video, I want to focus on the second part there because I started a new save on a stream the other day and played on hardcore mode, and I want to let you know why it was the most fun I've had in Valheim in quite a while. So here we go is my new character, Milton Never Dies, and I'm just going to show you that I started the actual hardcore world here. I did have a hardcore world a long time ago where we kind of self-imposed it, but here's a new hardcore world. Just to quickly show you the modifiers on hardcore. So combat is a lot harder and enemies will raid your base more often. When you die, all your skills and items you are carrying will be lost forever. You have no map and you may not use portals or exit boss dungeons while a boss is alive. So what that means is it's not the traditional hardcore where basically the world's deleted from what I've seen so far, but basically your character will be wiped. So any character skills you have built up, you could have your character maxed out at 100 and everything, and if you die, you're going back down to 0 and everything you're carrying is lost. I haven't died, obviously, because I just started the world, but I do believe that the world is still existing and you can basically start the character and keep going with it. Not exactly sure, but I think that's how it works. The biggest thing for me, though, is going to be the no map, and I'm going to talk about that in just a second. So down here, really quickly, you're going to see the combat is very hard, death penalty is hardcore, resource rate is normal, the raid is more, and there's no boss portals. That means that if you're in the boss fight, you can't cheese a boss by just getting out by portaling out. And down here is the no map. So if we load up this save real quick, I'll talk about my experience for the first couple of hours through this and why I think everybody should try it out or at least try out some variations of it. All right, so here's the nice little house that I built on the water, and you'll notice there's some mobs wandering around here. So I built right near the starting spawn area. As you can see in the distance, I do have the Eikthyr trophy up there. So I did defeat Eikthyr. It was slightly challenging, but what I did was, because I was on hardcore mode, rather than trying to rush the boss, and I still beat it in like, I think 2 hours, 2.5 hours, something like that, you can normally beat Eikthyr within like an hour, even less if you actually know what you're doing. And also if you have the map, because it's going to tell you exactly where it is. But instead of rushing him, I ended up going in and making sure I had proper armor. So I made sure that I made leather armor. So I went around and hunted some deer and some boars to make some armor, made some weapons, got a bow and everything like that, and took them out. The biggest thing for me is if you want to experience Valheim and get the most out of it, there's one feature from this mode that I think is awesome, and you could just put this on in a normal save and not do the hardcore, and that's the no map feature. And you might be saying, why is that? And the reason for that is typically in games, survival games, you're just going to get a map. You may have to unlock it like you do in this game. You may already have access to the entire thing from the beginning like in other games. But what the map does is it kind of ruins the immersion of the game, and it kind of just, I don't know, it just lessens the feeling you get from playing it. So when you start off in Valheim, if you're not familiar, you're basically going to drop here. The Raven's going to drop you here. And what you're going to do is you're going to go over here and you're going to say, here's the register location of Eikthyr. And what that does is it will tell you where the first boss is. So it makes it very easy. You don't have to go exploring or anything. It's going to tell you exactly where it is. It's typically pretty close by. Now, with no map, obviously that's not going to happen. So what I ended up having to do was basically just explore out and try to find him. And the way I did that was I started making some paths. So I got a hoe and I basically just made a path here. And I just wandered off in this direction. Somebody suggested possibly going north because that's typically where it's going to be. And what I did was I went up here. And for me, I don't know if you've ever watched any of my content in the past, and I've mentioned this, I mention it quite frequently. I'm really bad at directions. So playing without a map is actually quite challenging. So I knew going into this, I was going to have to either make trails or put some kind of map markers down. Ultimately, somebody suggested just making paths because that's probably going to be the best way. So while it does take a little bit longer, it's going to make your exploring take a little bit longer. It does feel like you're fully immersing yourself because you're kind of like building the world around you as you're playing it. Let's take out this grayling. So that was easy there. So what I did was did this, and I ended up just not finding it. The boss wasn't up that way, so I just went off in a different direction. Along the way, though, I was basically exploring and trying to find resources. So I found some houses up there, took some of the houses down to get some free resources from it, got some honey and stuff like that. Not sure where that skeleton came from, but okay, we'll take the free skeleton trophy. That's cool. So I wasn't up that direction, so I was like, okay, well, let me just go a different direction. And I thought the easiest way to do that would be just to go down the coastline. So what I did was I went down the coastline a little bit that way, and then I went down a little bit the coastline this way. And lo and behold, after exploring down there for a couple of minutes, I did end up running into the Eikthyr spawn. I ended up killing him on the first try, didn't have to like leave the fight or anything like that. I did go in pretty prepared, made sure I had myself lots of arrows. I think I had like 120 arrows. It didn't even take close to that. I ended up using the knife for half the fight, and then ended up using the bow, because honestly, taking 1 or 2 hits from him on this difficulty with minimal armor, you can take quite a bit of damage. And actually, the closest I came to dying so far in this couple hours that I played on this was to fighting a couple of boars, because a couple of boars hit me, and when you have the basic rag armor on and nothing else, you will take damage pretty quickly. So the no map has been the most fun so far. Now, I will say I've only played through the meadows, so I'm not sure how it's going to go as I continue to play through this. I do plan on continuing to play through it over time. Not going to just not like no life the game like I did in the past, but I do plan on playing through this, and I'll probably end up streaming at some point in the future. But I do like it so far. The big thing is, like, the meadows is pretty straightforward. I know if I go down in that direction, there I did find some black forest. Going straight up north, there were some mountains there. That's typical on the starting island in Valheim, so no surprises there. I think the big thing is going to be, how long is it going to take to find the other bosses? Maybe there could be a way to kind of give you like an idea where they're going to be. So even if it doesn't tell you exactly the location, what might be helpful is saying the boss is like, whenever you find, like as an example, when I find here, I could have said the boss is maybe to the east or something like that. So then I know to go over to the east, because you can apparently use the sun, the way the sun's going over, to navigate the world. I'm not very good at that either, but I'll probably learn over time. And like I said, this has just made it so much more fun. The hardcore aspect also is making it where when I went down there and I was looking for Eikthyr, I found Eikthyr and I went past it a little bit. I did run into a black forest. Now, typically, even though I hadn't completed Eikthyr, if I was playing on a regular game mode, I probably would have went down and fought through the black forest and maybe try to get some, just scout out some resources. And what I would normally do is go into there, and we'll just head down here as I'm talking. What I would normally do is go down there and I would mark like where I found copper or where I found the tin. I can't do that because I don't have a map now. So that's just not going to happen. What I'm going to have to do is basically almost have like a little mobile base with me. So making use of carts or boats is going to be much more important. And while I can use portals for just normally playing, I'm not sure. I might just decide not to use the portals at all, because honestly, I did a long time ago. I did do a self-imposed hardcore playthrough. And as part of that, what we ended up imposing, because I played with a couple of friends, was we did no portals hardcore. So if you died, you were out. I was the only one who actually didn't die. The others who died, they basically had to delete their character and start a new character, which is kind of what it does now. And all their stuff was kind of like free loot for everybody else, so you could go pick through their loot and they weren't allowed to use it anymore. That was awesome, because honestly, just exploring and not being able to just fast travel back and get out of danger, or not being able to fast travel back just like large swaths across the map, it actually made like sailing, using the carts and stuff like that, and picking and choosing where you're going, it just made it so much more of a fun experience. So those are my thoughts on the hardcore Valheim. Like I said, even if you don't do the hardcore, definitely try no map just for a little while and see if you like it. Play through the meadows, and probably the Black Forest won't be that bad. My only really big concern right now is going to be, how long is it going to take for me to find the bosses? Because I'm basically going to be blindly having to explore the world. And the world is quite big. I know it's not the biggest map in the world in terms of survival games, but overall, it is actually a fairly large map. And with it being procedurally generated and not looking up locations on things, I'm sure it's going to take quite a while to find out where the bosses are. So anyway, I look forward to my adventures in this, and I'll probably keep updated on. I'll probably make some future videos just providing the update as I play through this, because I do plan on continuing through it just to see how far I can get on the hardcore playthrough. I'm not going to be participating in the challenge that's open for like the next couple weeks. From what I've seen, somebody said the record right now for completing the hardcore challenge on a set seed, meaning the people I'm sure what they did was they put the set seed into a seed generator where it tells you where everything is. So that kind of defeats the purpose a little bit. But anyway, just playing through that, I think the record as of the last I'd heard was about 20-ish hours or so. So, and that's knowing where everything is. I can imagine, like, if you want to get a full $100, $200, $300 playthrough, even more, from Valheim, certainly try just the no map. You don't even have to do the other features, but like I said, I'm going to try the hardcore because I've never actually used the mode before, and the no map's just making it better. So anyway, those are my thoughts on the hardcore Valheim. Let me know in the comments down below if you'll be checking out hardcore, or if you're just going to be checking out no map, or maybe you just want to play the game as it is now. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button, consider subscribing for more content just like this, and if you want to support the channel even more, click the card on the screen right now to become a patron today. Becoming a patron will give you access to all my videos, usually before they're posted on YouTube, and 100% ad-free, and also directly supports the channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.